Okay, this is going to be the next video in the quadratics unit in Algebra 1. We're going to start to talk about, go back to something we did in the previous unit, which was finding factors. And we're also going to talk about finding solutions, okay? Now, one thing that I want to add, there are some words that mean the same thing as solutions. Zeros, roots, and x-intercepts, okay? They all mean the exact same thing. Okay, it's where it crosses or touches. Okay, so these are all the same. Okay, all right. So this is where it crosses or touches the x-axis. Okay, now what we're going to focus on here is finding factors and then solving factors. Okay, so the factoring unit. So the first step is you got to make sure your thing is set equal to 0. Okay, and we're going to talk about if it's not set equal to 0, what to do. Second step is use all your factoring principles. Okay. Third thing to do is you're going to set the factors equal to 0 and solve. Okay, that's how simple it is. So, all right, this one's already set equal to 0. So I would multiply 3 times 4, which would be 12. Factor chart for 12. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Okay. All right. Now, I'm looking for, just like from the last unit, I'm looking for the set that adds up to 8. Okay? That would be this set right here. Okay? So I make my box. So this would be 3i squared plus 2i to the first plus 6i to the first plus 4. Okay? So 3i squared plus 2i to the first plus 6i to the first plus 4. Okay? All right? Now, all I'm doing is GCFs. Okay? All right, so I got 3 and 6, which is 3. They both have an I. Smallest exponent is I1. Okay, then I got 2 and 4. All right, 2 and 4. Gives me 2. Okay, all right, this is plus, this is plus. Okay, all right, now I'd go this way. All right, 3 and 2. All right, 3 comma 2. Gives me 1, I to the first. Okay, then I do 6 and 4. All right. 6 comma 4. All right, I get 2. Okay, so my factors are 3i to the first plus 2, 1i to the first plus 2. Okay? All right, now, here's how you solve them. It's very easy. All right, I just do 3i plus 2 equals 0. 1i plus 2 equals 0. And I'm just solving for I. It's like a regular equation. So subtract 2. I got 3i equals 2. I'm sorry, 3i equals negative 2. And then divide by 3. So one of my solutions is negative 2/3. Okay? This one I subtract 2. That's just going to be 1i equaling negative 2. If you want to divide by 1, you can. Doesn't matter. Okay? So here are the solutions. Here are the factors. Okay? So all we're adding to that is you're just taking that little factor, okay, and making an equation out of it and solving for I, okay? So now let's look at this example where we're not set equal to 0, okay? So what I got to do, okay, to get it equal to 0 is I got to move this term back. Now, you can do this one of two ways. If it's positive 3 on this side, if it moves over here, it's going to become negative 3, okay? All right, another way to think of that is you're going to do subtraction. But I like to think of it as moving the opposites. Now, here's what's important. You've got to have it in I squared, I, and then number form. So I got 6i squared minus 7i minus 3 equals 0. Okay? All right? And it's the same deal as before. Multiply this, I get negative 18. I'm going to make my little chart over here. Okay? Factors for 18 are 1 and 18, 2 and 9, and then 3 and 6. Okay? Now, since I see negatives that I got one side, okay, I would do that. Now, I am looking for the set that adds up to negative 7. This one is close. It adds up to positive 7. So the quick fix, just change those. Okay? So this is now 6i squared plus 2i minus 9i to the first, okay, minus 3. Okay? Make my box. Nothing changes. Okay? 6i squared, 2i to the first, minus 9i to the first, minus 3. I am doing GCFs. for all of them. Okay, there's 3. They both have I, so I1. Okay? And they got 2 is going to be 1, just plus. Okay? Alright, then I go this way. 6 and 2 is 2. So 2I1. And then I do negative 9 and negative 3. It's going to be 3. Since there's a minus here, there's a minus there. So my factors are 3I to the first plus 1, 2I to the first minus 3. Okay? Alright? Alright, now, what I want to do here is just take these and set them equal to 0 and solve. So those are the factors. So 3I plus 1 equals 0. 2I minus 3 equals 0. Okay? So this one I would subtract 1. So 3I equals negative 1. And divide by 3. So I is going to be negative 1/3. Okay? If you want to get your fraction, okay, it's negative 1/3. Okay, this one I add 3. So it's 2I equals 3, and divide by 2. It's going to be I equals 3/2. Okay, so those are the solutions. Those are the factors. Okay, it's that simple. All right. Let's do a couple more examples. And I'll give you a couple to try. Okay, so now look at this. I got 14I. Now, if it's 14I on this side, when it moves back over, it's going to become negative 14. Now, I want to put it in I squared, negative 14I, plus 72, equaling 0. Okay? So remember, when time something moves from one side to the other, it just changes sign. Okay? So change sign. It makes it a lot easier on yourselves. Okay? Now, there's a 1 here. So 1 times 72 would be 72. Those factors would be 1 and 72, 2 and 36, I think 3 and 24. I want to say 4 and 18. Oh, wait a second. That's got to be a minus. Wait. Hold up. Yeah. All right. 6 and 12. All right, this has to be a minus 72, or the whole thing doesn't work. Okay, so I see minus sign, okay? I see a minus sign, so that means that one side is going to be negative, okay? I need a set that adds up to negative 14. The closest one here is 14, so once again, just change those, okay? So it's negative 14. I make my box, okay? So now this is going to be 1I squared, okay, plus 4I to the first, minus 18I to the first, minus 72, okay? So I got 1I squared, okay, all right? Actually, let's go back and, no, that's fine. All right, so I got 1I squared plus 4I to the first, minus 18I to the first, minus 72, okay? And now I'm just gonna do the GCF part, okay? So I got 1 and negative 18, which is 1, that'd be I1, okay? All right, then I would go 4 and negative 72, oops, is 4, that'd be a plus sign here. Then I do 1 and 4, okay, it's going to be 1, they both have I1, and then negative 18 and negative 72. It is 18 with a minus sign right there. No I. So my factors are 1I to the first plus 4, 1I to the first minus 18. So those are the factors. My solutions, I'm going to take this, set it equal to 0. It's going to be I equals negative 4. Set this one equal to 0. going to be I equals 18, and those would be my solutions. Okay? All right, moving right along. Already set equal to 0. This is going to be 1. So multiply those, be 25. Factor chart for 1 and 25 is 1 and 25, and just 5 and 5. Okay? Now, since I see negatives, and that number is positive, both sides have to be negative. Pretty easy to figure out. That one adds up to negative 10. Okay? So I would do my box. Okay? 1i squared minus 5i to the first minus 5i to the first plus 25. Okay? All right? And now I'm just doing the GCF stuff. Okay, 1 and negative 5 is 1, so that's I squared I1. All right? Then I got negative 5 and 25. Negative 5 and 25 gives me 5, and there would be a minus sign here. All right, this is the same. 1 and 5, same deal. 1, I1, and then negative 5 and 25 is going to be negative 5. It's the same thing as before. So my factors are 1i to the first minus 5, 1i to the first minus 5. Okay, those are my factors. Okay, now if you notice here, I set them equal to 0. Okay, so I'd add 5. This would be I is 5. Add 5. This is going to be I is 5. Okay, so as you notice, it's a double. We'll talk about that when we get to the graph, what that means. Okay, so what I'd like you guys to do. Okay, we should go to the next page. I would like you to try the next 4. There's 2 here. All right, try these 2, pause, then unpause, and then do the next 2. Okay, all right, so this one's already set equal to 0 for us. Okay, so should try these and go formative already. I would multiply, gives me 54. Factors of 54 are 1 and 54, 2 and 27. 3 and 18. I don't think 4, no. 6 and 9. Okay, so since this is minus, but this is plus, both sides would be negative. Looking for the set that adds up to negative 15, and that would be this set that adds up to negative 15. Okay, so I'm going to make my box. Okay, so this is going to be 9i squared minus 6i minus 9i to the first plus 6. Okay, so I got 9i squared minus 6i to the first, minus 9i to the first, plus 6, okay? And now I'm just doing the GCF stuff, okay? All right, so I got 9, comma negative 9, just 9. So I got 9i squared I1. Okay, so negative 6 and 6 would be negative 6. Bad problem to do. Hold on. I'm going to take out GCF there. We'll do that. It's 3i squared minus 5i. Okay. Sorry. Did that without taking a GCF out. Okay, sorry. So, sorry about that in the video. Okay, 3 times 2 would be 6. Factors of 6 are 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Okay, since this is a minus, but this is a plus, both sides would be negative. This would be the set that add up to negative 5. Okay, so I'd have 3i squared minus 2i minus 3i plus 2. Okay, box. 3i squared minus 2i to the first minus 3i to the first plus 2. Okay, just to save us on some time in the video, this would be 3i to the first, this would be negative 2, this would be 1i to the first, and this would be negative 1. So these would be the factors. Okay, if I set these equal to 0, this one it would be 3i equals 2, divided by 3, I get I equals 2/3. This would be 1i minus 1 equals 0, add 1, I equals 1. Okay, sorry about that. I did not take a GCF out, which was bad. All right, so on this one, I want to move this back over. If it is 4, sorry, not the best of videos here. Okay, if that is 4i on this side, it changes sign. So I got 12i squared minus 4i minus 5 equaling 0. Okay, so then what I want to do, multiply, that's going to give me negative 60. Okay, factors of 60 are 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 10, 4 and 15, 5 and 12, 6 and 10. Okay, now since I see one side is, or I see a minus and only this is here, so it's going to be one side being negative. Okay, I'm looking for the set that adds up to negative 4. This set is close. It adds up to positive 4, so I'm just going to switch those to make it work. So what that's going to be is 12i squared now, 6i to the first minus 10i to the first minus 5. Okay, so 12i squared plus 6i to the first minus 10i to the first minus 5. Okay. All right, so I got 12 and negative 10 gives me 2. I squared, I 1. Okay. Then I go 6 and negative 5. I get 1. That's going to be a positive. Then I would go that way. 12 and 6 will be 6, I 1. And then I got negative 10 and negative 5. Will be 5. There's a minus sign here, so that'll be that. So my factors are 2i to the first plus 1, 6i to the first minus 5. I would set those equal to 0 and solve. Okay, this one I would subtract 1. It's 2i to the first equals negative 1, and then divide by 2. I get I equals negative 1/2. Okay, this one I would add 5. So I got 6i to the first equals 5, and divide by 6. I equals 5/6. Okay, all right, let's go on to these two. Okay, let's go on to these two. So I got a negative here, so this, when it moves back, remember it's going to change signs, so now it's going to be positive 100. Positive 100 equals 0. There's a 1 here. Multiply and you get 100. Factors of 100 are 1 and 100, 2 and 50, 3 no, 4 no, 5 no, 5 and 20, 6 no, 7 no, 8 no, 9 no, 10 and 10. Okay, I'm looking for the set that adds up to 20, which would be this. Since everything's positive, I'm good. Okay, so I got 1i squared, 10i to the first, 10i to the first, plus 100. Okay, what's convenient about this is you notice they're both there. As I do the GCF stuff, it should go pretty quickly. Okay, 1 and 10, which would be 1i 1, and then 10 and 100. It's 10. And that's the same. 1 and 10 would be 1i to the first, 10 and 100 would also be 10. So my factors are 1i to the first plus 10, 1i to the first plus 10. Okay? All right, so if I set those equal to 0, okay, subtract 10, got 1i to the first equals negative 10, and subtract 10, this would be I equals negative 10. Okay, so same double answer. Okay, now this one's already been set equal to 0 for us, so they've helped us out. Okay, that would be negative 20. Factors of negative 20 are 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. Okay, since I see a minus and minus, it's one side negative. This would be my set that adds up to 8. So I got minus 2i to the first, 10i to the first, minus 5. Box. 4i squared, minus 2i to the first, plus 10i to the first, minus 5. Okay, and then it's doing the GCD stuff. Okay. So I got 4 and 10, which is 2. So I 1. And then negative 2 and 5, which is 1. There's a minus here, so minus there. 4 and negative 2 is 2. I squared I1, and then 10 and negative 5. Oops. Is 5, and there'd be a plus there. So factors are 2i to the first minus 1, 2i to the first plus 5. Set those equal to 0 and solve. Okay, add 1, 2i equals 1, divide by 2, I equals 1/2. Subtract 5, 2i equals negative 5, divide by 2, I equals negative 5/2. Okay, so that is factoring and solving by factoring. Okay, all right. All right, now, it says find the roots. So Mr. Evans, what do you mean by that? Well, roots mean the same thing as what? Solutions. Okay, so let's find the solution. So they did you a favor here. They actually factored it for you already. So all I would do is just set these factors equal to 0, and I solve. So add 7, I equals 7. Subtract 2, I equals negative 2. Those are my solutions. That's how easy it is. Okay? All right, so I got 3i minus 5 equals 0, 2i minus 9 equals 0. Add 5, 3i equals 5, divide by 3, I equals 5/3. Add 9, 2i equals 9, divide by 2, I equals 9/2. Okay? You get your fractions all from that. Okay? Now, what do I set this one equal to? This will be 5i equaling 0. This will be 8i plus 3 equaling 0. Okay? So divide by 5, I got I equals 0. Subtract 3, I got 8i equals negative 3. Divide by 8, I get I equals negative 3/8. Okay? And those would be the solutions. Okay? These are sort of convenient. You could just solve one, but if you want to solve 2, that's fine. Okay? Subtract 2, I equals negative 2. Subtract 2, I equals negative 2. Okay? Pretty easy stuff. So there, they took out the work for you. Okay? So I would like you guys to pause your video and go ahead and work on these. Okay? This one, equal to 0, add 10, I equals 10, add 5, I equals 5. Easy stuff, okay? Set these equal to 0. Seven I minus 3 equals 0. Okay, add 3, I get 7i equals 3. Divide by 7, I equals 3/7. Okay, 2i plus 3 equals 0. Subtract 3, I get 2i equals negative 13. And if you divide by 2, you get I equals negative 13/2. Okay, those are the solutions. Once again, here's a double. Okay, we'll talk about that in the next video on how you solve that. So that's 5i equals negative 3. Divide by 5 equals I equals negative 3/5. Okay, so it's the same thing over here. Okay, when we look at the graphs, I'll show you how those tie into that. Okay, and then these, I'd set these equal to 0, and this equal to 0. So that's going to be 0 and 4/3. Okay, pretty easy stuff there. Okay, from that standpoint. All right, let's move on to the last thing that I'd like to cover in this video, which is converting. Given the solutions, write the factors. Okay, you can look at this a couple of different ways. Okay, so basically when we have solutions, we're getting everything away from x. Here we're bringing everything back towards. So think of it this way. If I move that back over, that's going to be x plus 8. Okay, all right, it's going to be x plus 8 or I plus 8, does not matter. Okay, you just put parentheses around it. This 12 moves back over, it would become minus 12. Those are your factors. Okay, now it only sometimes gets tricky with fractions. Okay, when this moves back over, it would originally be this. Okay, now we don't like to have the numbers in the bottom, so what happens is that 5 just goes up in front and it becomes like that. Okay, This one would come back over, and it would be x minus 3, okay? So all we're doing when we move it back over is just change the sign. That's how easy you can keep that, okay? All right, let's get to the 0 in a second. So for this one, I would move that back over, it'd be minus 5/7. The 7 come up, it'd be 7x minus 5. Now, this is just something you have to know. If you get x equals 0 or I equals 0, that's just going to be that letter, okay? That is the factor. We saw that with the other solutions, okay? So let's do this one. This one comes back, that's going to be x plus 1/9. This one comes back, it's going to be x minus 1/4. Just move this 9 up. So 9x plus 9, 4x minus 1. Okay? Boom. That's how easy that is. All right? Go ahead and don't worry about the letters. If it's x or I, does not matter. It's the same thing. So I'd like you to take a few minutes and go ahead and find the factors given the solutions. Okay? So this one's going to move back. It will be I plus 12. This one's going to move back. It will become I minus 4. Very simple. All right, I equals 0, so that factor is just I. This one's going to come back as I plus 1/10. Remember, the 10 is going to come up, so it's going to be 10I plus 1 with that I out front. Okay? This one moves back, it'll be I minus 9/7. This one will move back, it'll be I plus 4/3. Okay? All right, and then the 7 comes up, so 7I minus 9, 3I plus 4. Okay? That's simple. All right? This moves back, it will become I plus 5/12. This moves back, it will be I minus 1/6. Okay? The 12 comes up, 12I plus 5. The 6 comes up, 6I minus 1. Okay? So that's how simple converting from solutions to factors is. So we've talked about factoring, finding the solutions from factors, and now we're taking our solutions and making them factors. In the next video, we're going to talk about graphs and how we can take the graph, find the solutions, find the factors.